Yo. So, this is a video by Gothix. I saw her debating, I believe it was Hunter Avalon, whatever, I don't give a shit. And I don't know, there's certain things that I very much disagree with her on. And so I'm going to check out some of her channel. And the first one I saw is White Privilege is a Crutch, which is an interesting title. Very, very interesting, I suppose.
Targeting an ethnic group with a collective crime is inexplicable. If I were to reverse the notion that white people have privilege because of their skin color, would that mean that black people automatically are oppressed because of their skin color?
No, well, okay, here. What she did there was conflating the cause of a problem with the reaction to the problem. So, there is a problem with disparity in how people are treated in the justice system and economically in our country. And the disparity seems to repeatedly happen between black people and white people the most. So, that's something that is being pointed out. And then white privilege is saying, like, the privileges of being on, or being in one demographic and not the other, and having to not deal with certain setbacks or certain barriers that are added to the, standard living of, the demographics that are negatively affected. There's like plenty of studies showing that. If you want anecdotal evidence, like, I can do that, but I will kind of say, like, anecdotal evidence isn't the fairest thing to bring up, because not everyone, you can have a vastly different life from the person down the street from you. You can have a vastly different life from one point in time to another. And then on top of that, some people have just weird luck and stumble into weird fucking situations. Some people have more friends, some people have less friends. And so anecdotes are like, hey, I seen a thing happen. It's like, well, you saw that, but so, I mean, we can go into anecdotes if that's gonna help with the conversation, but with her first point, and then white privilege isn't something that's being identified to make, like, white people feel bad. It's something to point out that, like, it's just an identifying statement. It's essentially pointing out the benefits, or not benefits, that's the wrong word. Essentially what I explained before. Like, there is, like, it's a privilege to not have to deal with certain things. It's a privilege to not have to deal with, like, your name being too ethnic sounding and getting less responses on job applications. And that study's been done multiple times. It's a privilege to not be pulled over as often just because of the color of your skin. And that study's been shown multiple times. Like, it's a privilege to be treated a little bit better in the justice system, even though, like, it's fucked up, but it's been studied multiple times. Like, we can go over all of that. And, like, the problem, like, no one's saying they want to take the privilege away from people. It's just that, like, those privileges should be available to all citizens no matter what. And so you're kind of confusing the reactionary point with the causing point. It's okay, so, like, to, I guess, make it more simple, There's two children and a parent, and one of the children says, hey, I think you're treating us differently. And then the equivalent point to what you said would be, why are you different? And then like, it's like, that's not the point. It's like, the point is that like, are you treating them differently? And here's the studies and things we can go over to show why that is the conclusion that came to. Like, I don't know, pretty simple.
Hi, my name is Gothix, and today we're tackling one of the most requested topics on this channel. So again, if you have a suggestion for a future video, leave it in the comments below. So, white privilege. This is a term that I personally find nauseating. I would love nothing more to see it just disappear out of existence entirely. The concept does nothing beneficial for anyone.
Well, the benefit of having words is to be able to identify things. If you're saying like, oh, we should get rid of these words because it doesn't make people feel good, it's like, I don't really give a shit, to be honest. If there's something that needs to be identified, we're gonna identify it. That doesn't mean it's like supposed to be weaponized. People shouldn't weaponize the word like that, but like, it is a thing that exists in our country, and that's why the words exist.
So I'm going to break it down to you, and I know that I'm going to get a lot of angry comments from other black folks who are maybe going to try to attempt to educate me on racial injustice and how whites have it easier in that regard. But I'd please ask you to first check out my video on critical thinking before typing up an angry response.
No, I'm not going to go do my homework on all your fucking shit just to be able to engage with one video. That's a super annoying and dishonest content-y thing to do. Other content creators do this all the time to be like, hey, check out more of my videos so you can engage. And then if you don't, then they're like, oh, you haven't watched everything. No, I don't have to. You don't have to watch everything of mine to be able to have a conversation with me. That's super childish and not a real point. Anyone who says that is just trying to get you to view more of their shit, dude. Then like, I'm here to be fucking honest. That's just bullshit. Like, if you ever walk into a conversation and then you imply like, well, you haven't known me my whole fucking life, so how can you even talk to me? You're not having a real conversation. You can't expect everyone to know everything about you before every conversation you have. It's like, if they're having a good faith conversation, they're going to listen to what your stance is, what you're stating. And if you do a good job of stating your point and opinion, then I shouldn't have to go do research on what you're saying. I mean, research based on you, on what you're saying. Like, I'll do research based on points you make. I'll do research looking up statistics. I'll do research looking up events or whatever. But like, I'm not going to look into you more to talk to you. That's redundant. And if you can't make your point in a video, then make the video longer. Make it parts, like part 1 and 2. But I'm pretty sure once I go to that video, you're going to be like, yeah, before you talk about this video, go check out this other video. Otherwise, I'm not going to listen to anything you say. And it's going to be like, okay, well, I watched all your videos. Now, can we talk? It's like, just say what you have to say.
That YouTube may automatically delete anyway. That algorithm though, it's very interesting. With that being said, let's get into this. So I find that a lot of people who use white privilege to rationalize their life experiences are actually experiences rooted in culture or social class.
No. So if we're gonna go down this anecdotal road, dude, okay, like, I've literally had to like white it up for cops just because like my friend was smoking outside and they came and fucked with him, and he's black, and they're like, hey, what are you fucking doing? There was something down the street. And like, I just had to come out and be like, hey sir, we're just fucking, like, it's bullshit. I hate it. They hate it. We all fucking hate it. And like, but we all kind of have to use it. Otherwise, my friend's getting arrested for smoking a cigarette outside. You see what I mean? So it's like, if we're going down this anecdotal road, yes, like every time I drive, we don't get pulled over. If my friends drive, it's much more likely. Like, so, and then in the fucking class thing, dude, I grew up in an area where I'm one of like 3 white people, and like pretty much mostly Mexican and black. And yeah, like I don't know how to, like, I'm not from like the most hoodish hood in the world. I'm from Illinois, and you know, I've gotten in better and worse parts throughout my life, depending on where I was economically. But like, yeah, I don't know, like, so it's just like, yeah, if we're going down that road, I can anecdotally fucking just tell you, no, it's not just a class thing. It's like there's a definite fucking difference in how people are treated.
So for example, if a black person goes on an interview and gets passed up on a job over a white person who may have the same qualifications, one might argue, well, that's clearly white privilege.
Well, you're leaving out the part of the study that is because the name. Because the study itself is identical fucking applications, and the only difference is a white sounding name versus a more ethnic or black sounding name. And the study continuously showed that white names had a drastic percentage more of getting called back. And you're really leaving out like the most crucial parts of that study just to try to make it work with your point. So that's either you're unaware of the study, even though I literally watched Hunter Avallone describe it to you. Either that, or you're kind of being dishonest there and just really not engaging with the reality of the studies.
But if I told you that the black person during the interview was talking like this, I would say that that's more something rooted in culture.
Like, dude, that's gross. That's really gross. So again, that was just a fucking, like, a black stereotypical meme of a voice. Like, here's the thing, like, part of the problem is that a lot of people feel like they have to white themselves up for jobs. That implies a bit of racism, no? Yes, it does, but okay. But then beyond that, like, culturally, your way of talking, as long as you're not being rude or just, you know, insulting or whatever, should not affect your ability to get work, unless it's like a work where you have to talk extremely fluidly or be understood by people, like you're doing like a traffic thing or some shit, which, like, even then it's like, oh, whatever. But like, yeah, it shouldn't affect your ability to get a job just because you have like a bit of an accent, a bit of like what's the curving on words? What's the right word for that? But whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, that really shouldn't affect your ability to get most jobs.
Rather than race. Here's another example. Let's say a white person and a black person committed the same crime, but only the black person got sent to prison. One might say, well, that's obviously white privilege. But if I told you that the white person had a better lawyer,
Well, why do they have a better lawyer, though? Like, if I told you they had a better lawyer, well, yeah, that's part of it. Why do white people on average have the ability to afford better lawyers? Because economically there's a disparity between the two classes. What if then why didn't the black guy just hire that lawyer? It's like, you're really trying to jump through a lot of hoops to make things we have so many studies for like make sense to your side, and it's not working. I'm sorry.
That would be something rooted in economic privilege. The usual response that I get is, well, black people make less money on
Economic privilege is tied to oh my god. The economic privilege is tied to the systemic racism. Do we have to break that down? Like how being in a worse economic place is like, transcends generations, how it's hard to get out of, how, black families were pretty much targeted for most of American history, and then even recently some of the laws that might have been for good purpose have had different effects on different it's like, oh my god. Yeah, it's just like, well, that's a different problem, but that's part of the problem. It's
an average because they lack opportunities. And I would actually argue that a lot of white people have been very accommodating with entertaining this idea of white privilege and lack of opportunities in this regard.
Well, it's not a lack of it's a lack of opportunities. Places that are more impoverished have less good paying jobs, and to get better jobs you have to be able to travel out further, and traveling costs money. So just hop on a fucking bus that costs money, dude, and then like that's money that comes out of your end paycheck. It's like there's so much shit that you're just brushing to the side, and it's like, no, dude, like that's oh my god, that's part of the problem we're talking about.
So what opportunities, you may ask? Well, let me give you some examples. So how about white voice actors who step down from their role to allow black voice actors to take that role instead? Mainly
cool. Funny story though, most people aren't fucking voice actors. I haven't met a single fucking one in my life, to be very honest. Anecdotally, I can tell you 0% of my black or Mexican or even white friends are voice actors. Statistically, on everyone's level, I'm pretty sure it's a pretty small percentage of people are fucking voice actors. That doesn't help with everyone else, dude. Not every white person. Oh my god. Like, and that's the thing too. Like, no one's expecting white people to step down on jobs in real life though, because people need to fucking work. People need to be able to like afford to live, So it's not like we want to take jobs away. It's just, oh my god. And like for voice acting, like that's so much like the ideal voice actor for a character is vastly different than the subject of people getting jobs in everyday life. It's such a fucking like, oh my god, it's so like minute of a point that I don't even know why she's bringing it up.
When a white person is voicing a character that is illustrated as a black person, despite the literal definition that acting is to pretend to be something that you're not. Here's another example.
Okay. That's, oh my god, that's such an old meme. The whole, well, actors are supposed to act. And it's like, yeah, but like if there's someone more fitting for the role, it's just such a fucking old meme of like, nah, we don't really care that much about fucking actors. It's just nice to see, like, you know, if an actor from an anime is one color, like, why not have a person of that color, give them a job? Like, I don't know, it's such a dumb fucking argument.
Incentivize diversity quotas or affirmative action, where more qualified individuals could get passed up on an opportunity to make room for black people,
No one's saying make room for black people by passing up more qualified people. They're saying when black people are equally qualified, there should not be a disparity such as there is just based on their name. Again, you're conflating the response to a problem with the cause of a problem, and I don't know how much of this is just on purpose at this point, because I'm really starting to think like you're not acting in good faith, to be honest, but okay.
If I may give my 2 cents on this topic for just a quick second, if a company needed to be incentivized in order to hire a minority, why would I want to work there anyway? Or what does that say about myself? Does incentive...
Again, this goes back to the options, the possible opportunities. You're saying, like, well, if you don't like working there, just go to another job. What if that job's racist too? What if, you know, every job has a little bit of racism in it, because it's kind of a fucked up thing that tends to linger around. And unfortunately, a lot of people who are older tend to be more racist, and older motherfuckers tend to have higher positions in jobs, and then it just makes it a problem then on down. So, one, you're basically saying, why don't you just, like, you know, not have money and support yourself for a little while you find another job that might possibly have the same fucking problem. It's like, no, dude, you really, like, I'm sorry, you don't understand what it's like to have to go to work to eat, dude. Like, it's not an option on that level of, like, you know, like, I'm being a little bit discriminated against. Dude, like, motherfucker, you have to work. Like, motherfuckers have to put up with a lot of shit. And is like, unfortunately, I've talked to a lot of motherfuckers at work, and they're like, this is average. Like, yeah, almost every job has some level of this on some level. And you're like, why don't you just go find the perfect job then? And it's like, because there's not that option. Or, like, you realize good jobs can't hire everyone. So even if there is this perfect job out there, they can only hire so many people. They can't hire every single fucking person. And it's just, again, dishonest.
Incentivize diversity imply that I'm not smart enough to get the position on my own? I'm honestly very perplexed.
No. The implication isn't that black people aren't smart enough to get something on their own. It's that when they are equally qualified, there should not be a disparity in outcome between who gets a callback on their applications based on something like the sound of their name. Again, you're just avoiding the entire fucking point.
Why so many minorities are infatuated with the brown versus white employment ratio. If I don't get offered a position, the first thing I do is to consider what qualification I was lacking versus the company is just racially biased.
Again, the study had all the same qualifications, everything. They were identical. The only difference was the names. You're not addressing the point of the study. Like, you're trying to go to, like, well, anecdotally, it's like, okay, well, anecdotally, maybe, but when it's, like, we literally can point out the studies showing there's a difference.
Here's another example that touches just within the creator space. I've been seeing a lot of new or inexperienced black content creators who use the lack of representation argument to finesse opportunities or free merchandise from companies. This annoys me.
I don't know what she's talking about on that. As far as the lack of representation, I mean, yeah, dude, look at pretty much most shows, dude. And like even shows that like try to have representation or do to some degree are a bit like, you know, either cheesy or it's like hamstrung in just to like appease people. And like it shouldn't be so fucking weird to like have like representation of different kinds of people, you know. It's just like, I don't know, it's not that fucking difficult, but
Me, as well as many other black content creators who work hard to highlight our talent rather than using our skin color as a crutch. Personally,
again, I don't know exactly what she's responding to there, so I don't know if she's like pointing out what one creator did. I don't know. I don't know what she's referencing, so.
I find the act of working with a creator based on their skin color rather than their talent actually hurts the infrastructure of the industry.
Okay, so let me digest that point for a second. If it's solely on their skin color, but then you're ignoring the fact that it is done for white people in a racist way negatively now. Fuck. My brain hurts. This is so fucking bad faith. Okay. So where this conversation comes up the most, as far as I know, is when a movie is made, like a real life movie or whatever the fucking word is, and it's usually from like an anime or cartoon or a story or a book, and if a character is a certain color or certain description, like people kind of feel like it should match that to some degree. And then like if you look around and see your cast is all white, you should feel like, hey, this is a little weird. You know what I mean? Like, did we, or even if you do that with like an all black, unless it's like you're trying to show what it's like in an all black neighborhood and the struggles of that, which is a different kind of show entirely on that point. But oh my god, it's just, this is such a fucking weird. She's talking about literally old memes and shit that like has nothing to do with the conversation at hand. Her main points are like actors and voice actors are sometimes stepping down for people who are these are horrible points. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be nice. This is fucking awful. This is stupid as fuck.
Let me explain this. The primary reason a company decides to work with an influencer is because of ROI, or return on investment. If a company chooses to work with a black influencer that has 300 followers versus a white influencer that has 30,000 followers, would that company really be getting a return on investment? I also think this behavior encourages...
But that's not the point. The point is, what if they both had 300 followers? What if they were completely equal in every way for the job? Oh my god. We're pointing out, in those instances, there's a disparity in outcome. Engage with that. Engage with that point. Engage with the disparity of outcome, not on a personal, anecdotal level, not on, well, a couple voice actors step down, so racism is solved, right? No. No. That's the most childish. Oh, my God.
mediocrity, as the creator may not feel it's necessary to improve their craft because to them, these opportunities imply that they made it. I mean, think about it for a second. Why bother fine-tuning your craft if you can just skip all the hard work?
This is just a fucking horrible argument. Yet people should earn their jobs. Literally no one made the point that unqualified people should get jobs they're not qualified for. So you're not arguing with anyone at this point. You're literally just having like a little temper tantrum about like your feelings because white privilege makes you feel bad. And it's like, again, I don't give a shit how a fucking word makes you feel. I don't give a shit what like anecdotes we need to go over. Like, we can look at actual statistics. We can look at how fucking things actually are, like the actual outcomes of things, and show the disparity between them. Engage with that. Do not tell me that one or two times a couple people stepped down so that there could be better representation, which you don't like for some fucking reason, even though representation is just like, okay, cool, make it a little more representing to everyone who watches. It's just nice to have someone who looks like you in a show. Fucking cool. Why do you care? This is such a fucking removal from the actual topic at hand that it's frustrating to have to engage with. I don't have to engage with it. I don't have to engage with this. I can turn this off. Why am I doing this? I hate everything.
And complain about white privilege. Moving on, I think it's ignorant to suggest that white privilege is the only privilege. There are varying levels of privilege
No one's implying that's the only privilege. There are certain male privileges, there are female privileges. I'm sure there are black privileges to some degree. I mean, if you think saying the N-word is a privilege, I guess that's one. It's not one I really care to have or want, but there's, I don't know, you get to say cool shit. Sometimes if I say, like, things that my friends say, they say shit that I can't say because it just sounds stupid. It's like, nah, that just felt weird coming out of my face. But other than that, I don't know. Like, yeah, there's a certain amount of privilege to, like, everything on some level, but when it becomes on a systemic level and there is a vastly different outcome in, you know, how they're treated in our justice system and all that, and economically and all this other shit, like, again, it's let's try to end this shit.
Depending on who you are. What about black privilege? The privilege to call someone racist and not feel an obligation to prove that racism.
No, like, okay. I can't speak on behalf of, black people, obviously, but from what I know, like, there is a certain amount of, like, you have to call racism when it's racism, because if you overuse it, then people don't believe you. And, like, I've seen discussions between black dudes about that. Like, it's not something frivolous. Like, no one's just throwing that word around. Like, there is actual racism and it should be identified. And then, like, when it's thrown around frivolously, people do say, like, no, dude, don't take the meaning out of that word, because it is a word that has meaning and we do need to address it. So, like, that's just a really, again, dishonest point.
Or the privilege to say all of my problems are because of white supremacy and no one challenged.
I don't think anyone's ever said all my problems are because of white supremacy. I don't know about that one, Chief. That's a little... Yeah, I mean, you probably have just day-to-day normal life problems. Everyone does. Like, what the fuck? Like, I stubbed my toe. Damn white supremacy. My wife left me. Fucking white supremacy. No, dude, like, no one's saying that. It's like, what are you talking about?
you to elaborate on that claim. I think that's pretty privileged in itself. For those of you that don't know, I actually co-host a podcast here on YouTube called Subtweet This, and we actually just finished up a great conversation that could tie into this topic. Take a look. I've listened to a lot of your...
If you didn't know, I have more videos for you to watch. Go watch more of my videos. I hate this shit.
Music, and it seems that you have like a lot of messages that pertain to like self-accountability. So is that something that you're trying to strive to like get that message out to your audience?
That's like probably the most important thing of everything of all the topics that I cover: self-reliance, responsibility, because it's something that in this day and age, not just due to politicians, but due to the education system, where being an individual and being responsible for your actions is something that is put by the wayside. And this is why a lot of people...
Okay, yeah. Low-key, that's true for all human beings across the fucking earth. Too many people just throw up their hands and say, well, the world's fucking me. And it's like, nah, dude, like you have to fucking step up and do your shit. If you want to succeed in life, you have to fucking, like, take strides and run. Like, that's just bars for everyone on all forms of life. Like, and no one's saying, hey, don't just give in, throw up your hands. No one's saying that. Everyone agrees, like, yes, personal responsibility is very important. You're not going to get anywhere just doing nothing. But when there are barriers in the way because of the sound of your name or the color of your skin, those barriers should be addressed and taken down. That's the only point people are making. So this isn't really tied into the discussion either.
People adopt the economic philosophies that they adopt the social policies that they adopt because it rids them of the responsibility. And me personally, I just think that's for losers. The first thing that I look at, even if there is a wrongdoing, I'm looking at, okay, what did I do to put myself in that situation for this person to even do me wrong or me to be done wrong? Because I think that's
I mean, yeah, that's something you got to do from time to time, but like, what if you do that and then, like, the answer really is, and then you can prove it statistically, that some people are racist, and some people in power are racist. Some people are subconsciously racist on certain levels. Like, are we just going to, we're not pretending that, like, racism is the pure evil of all life causing every single problem in the world. Global warming isn't from racism. It's like, yeah, have self-responsibility. Fucking, if you want to succeed in life, you have to try. That's true for fucking everyone. And it's easy to say, like, oh, fucking, well, my parents didn't do this, or I didn't fucking have parents here, or like whatever the fuck. Like it's easy to fucking make excuses, and I've fallen into that trap a lot of times. Like, dude, fucking, there's a lot of points in life where you're like, fucking, the world is set up for me to fail, and like, it's kind of that way for everyone, and then it just is more so for other people too. And yes, you do need to fucking try to succeed, but then, like, the barriers that are in the way, that shouldn't be in the way, need to be taken down. That's, oh my god. But yeah,
empowering.
So would you say, like, that a lot of people suffer from a victim mentality where they have to constantly go, I'm in this position because of other people?
Absolutely. And it's because it's an easy position to have. When you can sit there and place blame on everybody else or every other thing, aside the white man across the corner or something like that. When you can do that, it's a very easy position to adopt because there's no responsibility. There's no.
Again, like, that's true for everyone though. Like, it's true on every single level. Like, people who have problems with capitalism make a very similar, people who have a problem with capitalism say the antonym in a certain way, but yeah, like, sometimes we as humans it's easier for us to just blame everything around us more than ourselves, but it's an equal kind of, the environment does have an effect on us. Like, certain things are unfair. Certain things can and should be changed. But, like, yeah, no one's saying just throw up your hands and blame everything on one specific problem.
Accountability to your actions, you can always place blame on someone. It's a very easy position to adopt, and that's why a lot of folks do tend to adopt that, and they don't, because though it's liberating, with freedom comes responsibility, you know what I mean? And a lot of people they actually shy away from that idea because
Well, yeah, dude, like, responsibility, if you're not completely aware of how to, handle it on it's terrifying, and it is easy to fall into, like, certain traps. And yeah, I mean, but, like, that's not the point that we're talking about, but I don't know.
And they come to that realization that, well, my actions are the biggest, primary, more so determinant of where I am going to be in life. That a lot of people are just scared of that sort of responsibility, so they adopt more victimhood. It's like, all right, well, who can I blame? Well, the white man, this type of person. It's unfortunate because those people, like, there's obviously probably being politicians who gain control over people's lives, being predatory in that regards. This idea that, okay, you are a victim, let me come save you.
At the end of the day, if I were to acknowledge white privilege, I would still be responsible for my own life. It wouldn't change my circumstances, and certainly me acknowledging white privilege wouldn't benefit me in any way.
Okay, like, what do you want? Something in the mail? Like, hey, congratulations, you acknowledge white privilege. Here's the basket with assorted fruits. Like, cool. It wouldn't benefit you in any way. It doesn't. Yeah, because. Alright, let's be fucking honest. It doesn't benefit you because you're trying to, make a platform on the opposite end of that. And acknowledging that it exists would make you kind of look dumb now. And it would not only not benefit you, it would take a lot of credibility away from what you said, even though there's hardly any credibility to anything you fucking said here. So yeah, your personal feelings about acknowledging it, still don't give a fucking shit about. Grow the fuck up, dude. Oh my god.
Now, if a white person were to acknowledge their privilege, I find it usually does one or two things. It could make the person feel proud or superior to black.
Nope. I acknowledge that I have white privilege. I do not feel superior to my peers in any fucking way. In fact, there's plenty of black motherfuckers I look up to. Especially personally. In my personal life, anecdotally, yeah, there's a shit ton of fucking, like, black and Mexican motherfuckers I look up to. In no way do I feel superior to them, but I can acknowledge that I do get different treatment when I apply for jobs with them. I can acknowledge that we get pulled over way fucking less if I'm driving. I can acknowledge all these privileges that the fucking state gives me over them, and I don't agree with those privileges. I don't like that they don't also have those privileges, but they still exist for me. I try my fucking best not to abuse those privileges or use them in a way that would negatively affect someone of color in any way. If in any way I do abuse those, it's usually to try to help. It's usually to be like, no, fucking please, police officer, we're just chilling. And, like, again, like, so no, in no way do I feel superior. And now I know your next point is going to be guilty. No, I don't feel guilty because I'm not the one doing that. I'm not the one personally being racist. I'm not the one trying to put them in those positions, or I personally have nothing to do with, well, on some level, I can't help that I do get the jobs I get, and that is one less job that someone else could have got, and maybe I have gotten one or two kind of just based on having a white name. Jonathan, pretty fucking white, you know? So, like, but I don't feel guilty on a level of, like, oh, like, I'm evil just because I'm white. It's like, I know personally I'm trying my best not to fucking abuse that privilege. I'm trying not to severify it in a way that would make it worse. I'm trying to make it so that, you know, everyone has the same standard of life, same privileges that we should all have under this system, under our government as American citizens. So, like, no, I don't feel personally guilty, and no, I don't feel personally superior to anyone. It's just a problem that we can statistically point out and should be addressed, because it is a barrier to American citizens that should not exist, making it so that they're kind of trapped in more economically desperate situations and harder to get out of. That's literally it. You at no point engaged in the actual conversation. I'm glad a couple voice actors got jobs. I don't really give a shit. My friends still have, you know, to deal with it. We all still have to fucking see real life people deal with these fucking problems in real life. And, yeah, I'm glad voice acting is a bit more open to people of color getting jobs. But yes, in every other instance, that's not helpful. I'm fucking done with this shit.